inform you about a cell broadcast emergency warning system that we are intending to implement for the Society of St. Martin. I think as a government, our priority is, of course, to ensure the safety and well-being of our people through efficient and reliable emergency response system. And recognizing the vulnerability of St. Martin to the effects of a wide range of natural and human-induced disasters, the government of St. Martin initiated the project, the design of a modern and reliable early warning system. This early warning system project's focuses on implementing a reliable and effective early warning system for a timely dissemination of warnings for the community. This project was made possible through the funding from the EU, named the Resembied. The Resembied sponsored this program, as well as the World Bank, and implemented through the NRPB. In addition to the aforementioned, it's noteworthy that the warning system needed to be constructed, especially for the local situation of St. Martin. We had to start building this up from ground up to get a good, reliable system for St. Martin. Today I'm pleased to announce the introduction of this cell broadcast warning system, which will significantly enhance how we communicate with each other in urgent alerts during disasters. The testing will begin in March and with a full launch set for June the 1st, ensuring we are fully prepared ahead of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. The government is currently in a memorandum of understanding with the BTP, the World Bank and the NRPB, Flow and Telem, to execute this project. This system allows emergency services to send instant location-based alerts directly to mobile phones in affected areas. It's a very efficient system. Alerts will be used for a range of emergencies, including, for example, hurricanes, flooding, tsunamis, fires, and other critical situations requiring immediate public attention. Secondly, why we chose for this cell broadcast and why it's more efficient than sirens. First of all, it's more hurricane resistant and reliable. Sirens are not hurricane resistant and can be damaged and destroyed by climate changes, strong winds, and flying debris. Well, that is not the case if we use this type of communication. Additionally, they require logistical planning for removal and reinstallation in times of hurricane, while that is the time that we need them. The cell broadcast system, on the other hand, operates through mobile network, which are built with redundancy and backup power to function even in quite adverse conditions. It has also a wider range and accessibility. It is clear, direct, and we can do the message in different languages. It's a multi-language approach for the populace. It's more cost-effective and low maintenance. And it's also effective during the outage of power. We can continue using this system. This testing phase begins in March, during which selected alerts will be sent to evaluate efficiency of the system and its reliability. We will also conduct public awareness campaigns before definitive introduction, and the definitive launch is set for June the 1st. That is the first news that I have.
So what is an ex officio tax assessment? An ex officio tax assessment, or Amsalve aanslag in Dutch, is an estimated tax assessment issued by the tax administration to businesses or individuals who fail to file their tax returns. Again, who fail to file their tax returns. It is important to note that if you have filed your tax return as a business or individual, you will not receive an ex officio tax assessment. The only instance in which ex officio assessments are issued is when no tax return has been filed by the individual or the business. Aim of the investigation of ex officio tax assessments by the General Audit Chamber. The General Audit Chamber's investigation aimed to verify whether ex officio tax assessments are reasonable, meaning that the estimates made should reflect realistic projections of an individual's or business's income, turnover, profit, or other relevant financial factors. In addition to the reasonableness of the estimates, their aim with this audit is also to verify the effectiveness of adopting an ex officio tax assessment. Under normal circumstances, the burden of proof in tax matters rests with the tax authority. However, in cases of ex officio tax assessments, this burden shifts to the taxpayer, who must now prove whether the ex officio tax assessment is inaccurate. The goal of the tax administration is to issue ex officio tax assessments. I apologize, is not to issue ex officio tax assessments. On the contrary, every individual and business is strongly encouraged to file their tax returns on time. Receiving an ex officio tax assessment means not only an estimated tax liability, but also the imposition of surcharges and fines, resulting in a more complex and time-consuming process. The process of issuing individual and business ex officio assessments. Before presenting the findings, I would like to provide a brief explanation of the current process relating to ex officio tax assessments, which are issued for both individuals and businesses. The responsibility for issuing all assessments, including both regular and ex officio assessment, lies with the tax assessor or assessors. I now move on to individual ex officio tax assessments. For individuals, the ex officio tax assessments are manually calculated by tax assessors. More complex cases are assigned to experienced assessors. The tax assessors rely on a combination of long-standing unwritten guidelines and established tax laws. This requires assessors to make reasonable estimations based on available information. Once the estimated taxable amount is determined, a 10% surcharge is applied along with an additional fine. As for business ex officio assessments, in contrast, the ex officio assessments for businesses are automatically generated by the system without the direct involvement of the tax assessors. The calculation is based on the estimated income previously reported by the business owner at the time of registration of the business at the tax office. This estimated amount is then subject to 25% surcharge and a fine. Proceeding with the findings. I will now present the findings as outlined in the General Audit Chamber's report. First, I will examine the findings related to ex officio tax assessments for individuals, followed by those concerning business taxpayers. Each finding will be briefly summarized, followed by a response outlining the ministry's position and my perspective on the matter, including the steps that will be taken to address the issue. Findings on individual taxpayers. 1, lack of a written policy for ex officio assessments. Currently, there is no established written policy governing the ex officio assessment process. The absence of a clear policy presents risks such as lack of standardization, reduced transparency, difficulties in training new employees, and inconsistencies in assessments. While it is acknowledged that tax assessors are trained, qualified, and experienced, and they must exercise professional discretion, I do agree with the General Audit Chamber that having written policies in place is essential. A well-documented policy will serve as a guideline for tax assessors, ensuring continuity in the assessment process, particularly in cases where staff transitions occur. This will help new employees seamlessly take over responsibilities while maintaining a consistent and standardized approach to estimating ex officio assessments. Additionally, such a policy can serve as an internal control mechanism, providing a structured framework that can be tested to verify the accuracy, reliability, and fairness of the ex officio tax assessment process. Implementing these measures will contribute to greater transparency, accountability, and efficiency within the tax administration. As such, this recommendation will be implemented, and a formal written policy will be developed to govern ex officio tax assessments. Number 2, risk of arbitrary action. The General Audit Chamber noted that ex officio tax assessments are not reviewed by another employee, and that surcharges are not systematically verified. The tax office has confirmed this finding. Ex officio tax assessments are sent on behalf of the head inspector, and while additional checks and controls may improve the process, they are not currently feasible due to limited staffing. However, a possible solution being explored is the automation of ex officio tax assessments calculations for individuals, as is done for businesses. If successfully implemented, tax assessors will review system-generated assessments rather than manually estimating them, which may help reduce their workload and provide a more reasonable tax assessment in a more timely manner. While conducting individual checks on every single assessment is impractical, given current constraints, random sampling and verification can be introduced as a quality control measure. It is important to stress that the best way to avoid ex officio tax assessments is for individuals and businesses to file their tax returns on time. The ministry will continue efforts to increase awareness about tax obligations and provide guidance on how to file properly.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
Yesterday, I met with a delegation from the Collectivité of Saint-Martin to explore collaboration opportunities in the areas of education, culture, youth, and particularly sports. As one island, I believe we have much to gain by working together to address challenges and create greater opportunities for our young people. During my tenure in Parliament, some of you may know I spoke passionately about expanding cooperation with our neighbours to the north, and I'm happy to report that yesterday's discussions were fruitful and very promising, and we're looking at potential agreements that will foster joint programs, student and teacher exchanges, and shared sports initiatives. We discussed during that meeting some measurable steps that could be taken to improve cooperation across several topics under my purview as minister, including, like I mentioned, programs such as study and work exchange and co-hosting certain sport initiatives. Meeting with Mr. Bryan, the director of CETOS, we shared information as well on the central kitchen and school canteens with the intention to identify collaborative possibilities and improve our own schools' functioning when it comes to meals. And I hope to provide an update on some key objectives we identified by the end of March 2025. It's my firm belief that strengthening our cross-border cooperation would be beneficial for both sides of the island, and as Minister, it's now my honor to get to move the needle forward on this very important topic. Additionally, following very productive meetings with all school boards held in January this year, and also at the end of February, I will begin a series of school visits to engage with school managers and conduct facility inspections in collaboration with the Ministry of VSA and the Ministry of ROMI. These visits are going to allow me to assess the current state of our schools, identify urgent infrastructural needs, and ensure that our learning environments are safe, healthy, and conducive to student success and student and teacher well-being. I'm aiming to take a proactive approach, and I'm committed to addressing these concerns in a timely and structured manner. Additionally, we've commenced with a ministry optimization initiative. As a new minister of ECYS, one of my priorities, as I mentioned, is laying the groundwork for transformative change over the next 4 years by adopting a phased and strategic approach. This approach is centered on making the ministry more agile, improving workplace culture, and enhancing public perception while prioritizing key educational outcomes such as literacy and numeracy. To begin this process, we're going to soon start with an internal assessment to evaluate the efficiency of the ministry's structure, policies, and workflows, as well as an external stakeholder satisfaction survey. These assessments are going to allow us to identify inefficiencies, address gaps, and establish a clear roadmap for sustainable improvements. By streamlining our internal operations, we're aiming to create a more responsive and results-driven ministry that effectively serves educators, students, and the wider community. Our goal is to always foster a culture of accountability and excellence, and to ensure that our ministry evolves into a modern institution that meets the needs of our people. Following that, the ministry, through the Department of Education, has officially commenced the comprehensive review and evaluation of foundation-based education in collaboration with consultants from CLIME, Creative Leadership and Innovative Management Bureau. This review is essential in assessing the effectiveness of our primary education system, ensuring that it's aligned with the needs of students and the evolving global educational landscape. Through this process, we will identify strengths, address gaps, and implement necessary reforms to improve learning outcomes. Stakeholder engagement, of course, is a critical part of this review, and we will ensure that educators, school boards, and parents have a voice in shaping the future of education on St. Martin. The evaluation is expected to take place over the coming months, and it will include a series of these stakeholder consultations, some field assessments, and data-driven analyses. And as Minister, I encourage and invite all educators, parents, community leaders, and interested parties to participate actively by sharing insights and feedback throughout the process. So in closing, the initiatives I shared today reflect our ministry's commitment to strengthening our educational, cultural, and sporting landscapes. We recognize that collaboration, strategic planning, and active engagement with stakeholders is crucial to achieving meaningful success and progress. I appreciate the continued support from the hardworking civil servants in this ministry, our educators, students, parents, and the broader community as we work towards building a more resilient and dynamic sector.
My question was, in light of the upcoming Emancipation Day celebrations on July 1st, the AXA committee has been established.
Yep.
Can you help us to understand as to the status of this committee, the work being done by them, and whether or not they are on track to achieving the goal as an entity?
Yes, this entity has been established. The Minister of Culture has been a motor also to, for sure, make sure that it becomes a functional group of people. And as you have asked me, are we on track to guide the process, for example, the date that you just mentioned with the AXAR, I'm under the impression that we are completely ready to move on with executing the responsibility of this group of people. Absolutely. That's the answer I have for you.
I think the main goal of AXAR was to pursue reparations for slavery. I've asked, funny enough, prior to leaving Parliament, I did ask for an update on the committee's activities. It was not a very comprehensive update that I received. So they are one of my to be met with entities within government, because actually it was established, I believe, by General Affairs under former Prime Minister Jacobs. So it's my intention to reach out and sit with them. Department of Culture is aware that this is something that is also on my wish list of meetings to have as we lead up to preparations for Emancipation Day this year. So once I do meet with them and I have a more comprehensive update and I actually have something to share, then of course I will bring it back to press briefing for you all. Thank you.
Okay.
My question has to do with the legalization of marijuana. There's
Yes.
quite some discussions about that. And in the end, it will touch almost all of the different ministries from an education perspective, a health perspective. Is there consensus within the Council of Ministers on the legalization of marijuana? What is government's interest in the legalization of marijuana? Can you explain the process that it's going through? It's come to my understanding that the drafting of the legislation has been outsourced to a third party, and that same third party has an interest in later participating in the commercialization of that marijuana industry. Isn't that a conflict of interest that the same company drafting the legislation will eventually participate in it? So those are the questions regarding the marijuana.
The marijuana topic has enormous implication, as you said, for all ministries. But I go further, it has implications for your children. And I have a position that I think that it has so many implications on socio-economic level that I have to make sure first that I'm well prepared for all the effects of this introduction, legalization, and regulation of this marijuana. So I can explain you, we did it in the Netherlands. If there is a country that can legalize and regulate, you have to give the Dutch credit in that. They did not legalize it, but they tried to regulate it. But they're good in regulations too. You know how that society is organized. And until today, there are big challenges, although they are masters in regulating, with the implications and challenges of marijuana for the public. I'm not telling you I'm against or pro, but I'm not busy with legislation now. I'm busy making sure that if we get to that phase, my country, my community, my people must be well prepared for the effects on all levels and dimensions with the introduction of marijuana. We have challenges to get a good turning point in this country. We have major challenges with our health care. And we are talking now at this particular phase, while we have our challenges to organize our mental health care, about the legalization and regulation of marijuana. And I know that one day has to take place. But please, let us do the first things first for this country before we go to the second gear with this introduction of marijuana. Please.
So could you comment on what I've understood that the outsourcing of the development of the legislation has been given to a third party?
I'm not even that far in looking to this problem. My main concern is to make sure that I have a balanced community with a responsible, well-prepared mental health care and turning point organization and a good educational system for my children before I start thinking in that direction.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social health insurances.
Firefighters have been busy at a scene of the fire on Tower Street in downtown Kingston since Monday night. While it has been contained for the most part, they faced several challenges.
At approximately 10:34 p.m., the fire brigade received and responded to a call of building on fire at number 203.5 to number 205 Tower Street, Kingston. 2 units were initially dispatched to the scene. When they got there and did their assessment, they recognized that additional help would have been needed, and a 3rd unit was dispatched.
The firefighters also had an issue accessing the building. They had to break through certain areas to reach the source of the blaze.
While I know merchants and persons who are involved in small businesses do need to secure their premises, it is proving a challenge when we have an incident, a fire at one of these facilities, to gain access, and that would have prevented us from being able to quickly bring the fire under control. We fought that fire for over 4 hours before we were able to bring it under control. So as we speak, we are still on location.
However, the extent of the damage to the properties is still unclear. The fire has caused significant disruptions in the area, with the Tower Street being cordoned off to facilitate the firefighting efforts.
The neighboring building as well, which was being used, that is at number 207 Tower Street, was being used as an hardware. They would have suffered some level of losses in relation to materials stored in their premises, such as PVC pipes and other hardware material. We are not yet certain of the cause of this fire. It is still under active investigation.
Fortunately, there have been no reports of injuries. Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
An outraged PTA body and concerned community members at the St. Thomas More Preparatory School in Mapen, Clarendon, over what they say is the unfair dismissal of the school's principal, Alex Reed.
It's generally a 2-week notice. We called a meeting yesterday to talk to them prior to the step going forward. Nobody come to us. When the priest came, he said blatantly that take our children and we get a refund and leave, because when he did employ Mr. Reed, nobody never know. So when Mr. Reed left, we don't have to know. So we need justice for Mr. Reed.
The parents say they are distressed as PEP exams are scheduled for next week.
My child has been here from grade 1. She's now in grade 6. She have PEP next week. So for the priest to come and do this right now is not the time for this right now.
Mr. Reed has come here under 3 years. And it's under 3 years, Mr. Reed has taken the PEP result from 50% to 80.3. And the language arts alone from 27.7% to 93%. I'm telling you, I'm doing this statistically to show you that Mr. Reed has done more for this school than many persons have done in over a decade.
The principal was fired yesterday with immediate effect. Parents say they initially organized a meeting with representatives of the board in their request for answers. However, they were a no-show. When contacted, Chairman of the board Dion Gay Bancroft said she was not in a position to comment on the matter, and a news release will be issued in the press. Kerry-Ann Simpson, TVJ News.